Doug's White here once again, and tonight's video is going to be about comparing some vertical mounted panels to some seasonal tilted panels that I have. We've had some discussions and debate here on the do-it-yourself solar forum about panel efficiency and whether or not a vertical mounted panel, the production will be as good as seasonal tilted or a fixed angle, but being I have a mixture here of panels and how they're mounted here. I did collect some data here, and I had been collecting data here over the winter, and I noticed a few trends. But I decided here the other day I'd just do a quick video. We had some snow, and I thought, you know what, I'll just quick collect some data, show how quick my panels all cleared off, and this gives you a kind of a picture here on how quickly the panels clear off, what you see for production from both the vertical and the seasonal tilted arrays, both in a mono and a bifacial, and what the panel efficiency is. So I'm going to let you make your own judgments. And yeah, I do have some commentary in there. But anyway, hope you enjoy this video, and let's get started. It's February 3rd, 8:45 a.m. There's the vertical array. Of course, no snow on that. And we did get snow last night. We got a light amount here, and some of it's falling off. So it'll affect production a little bit here in the morning. But I'll show you here what I'm getting. My other array up by my house there is bifacials. This here array is 370 watt mono panels in an 8S configuration. This is 8S 400 watt panels in this string, and in my front yard the bifacials there are 8S 400 watt, same panels as these. Okay, and I don't know if I mentioned it, but those are 8S configuration. All right, 3 strings. So what I'm showing here is the 3 strings of 370 watt panels, and on MPP2 on the second inverter is the vertical array, and that's producing about 1700 watts, which is pretty good. Best string on the 370 watt is producing 600 watts, and the worst string is producing about 350. Okay. On the bifacials out in my front yard, which of course they have snow on them, but best one's producing almost 1100 watts, and the other one's producing about 700. So, that bifaciality, works, is a huge difference, I mean, that's amazing. So, I'll be back here, probably half an hour, and we'll see where we're at then. It is 9:30 a.m., and of course, no snow there. And that's what's left there, and I assume the array in the front yard is about the same. So anyway, most of it's gone. So let's go look at the numbers. So here we can see the 4 strings again. The vertical array is pulling in about 2300 watts. The 2 strings there on the 370 watt are pulling in just over 1900 watts. The 1 string there always reads low, and I'm going to check that here with an amps probe and make sure that the inverter reads it correctly. I always said it doesn't match up with my loads and what's going to my battery according to what coming in on PV. So, but I would trust the 2 other strings though. But as you can see, you're looking at a difference of probably about 350 watts there. All right. We'll go here and look at the array, the bifacials in the front yard, and as you can see, those are producing a high already of 2600 watts and a low of 2300 watts. And compare that to the vertical array, which is only producing 2300 watts. So, this is at 9:30 a.m. and there's still probably a little bit of snow on those panels. So, I already said, bifacial, seasonal tilted, you just can't beat it, and I don't care if there is a little bit of snow on them in the morning, it's gone in short order. Those melt off pretty fast. So, the argument is, will the vertical outproduce? No, they won't. Day in and day out, you're far better off putting a bifacial mount, seasonal tilted, a vertical bifacial mounted out in the open. You'll get that gain, but it still won't be as good as tilted to the sun angle at peak sun. So it is now 10:05, so we're hitting into peak sun here, and it's pretty clear. So front one should be clear too. So let's go look at the numbers. So what we got here is the 370 watt strings and the 400 watt vertically mounted string. As you can see, the 370 watt strings are basically, one of them there is putting out just as much as the vertical mounted string. And you gotta remember, those are 370 watt panels and an 8S, so they're like 2,920 watts per string, whereas the vertical string is 3,200 watts. So that shows you how poor the efficiency is on that string there with those vertical mounted. And basically that's due to the sun angle, you know. So, all right, let's go look at, see what those bifacials are putting out. So here's your bifacials, you know, they're already putting out basically rated capacity 3,200 watts, you know. So, you know, you compare that to this here, you know, I mean, that's already a difference of 500 watts, and it's 10:05 or 10:09, it says up here in the left corner. You know, that adds up, you know, over the next 4 hours, you know, that's an extra couple kilowatts per string, you know. So anyway, I'll be back later. So it is now 10:38, and as we can see, the 370 watt panels are producing just as much as the 400 watt string. Yeah, that vertical mounted panels ain't all it's cracked up to be. So let's go look here at the bifacial tilted array. Okay, as we can see, we're getting some bifacial gain here. I fully expect that to reach a peak of probably total off that array of 11.4 kilowatts. But yeah, we're actually picking up about 250 or watts or more of gain there. So pretty impressive, you know. But anyway, just comparing these mono panels to the vertical mounted, you know, it's just not there. So anyway, back later. So we're back at it here. It's about 11:10, and as you can see, the 2,920 watt strings here, comprised of 8S 370 watt panels, are outproducing the vertically mounted panels, which are comprised of 400 watt panels and an 8S configuration. So yeah, it's pretty sad there, the efficiency there. But yeah, you know, the excuse now given is, of course, well, what's the total production through the day? You know, I can't get that information out of Solar Assistant, you know, but you know, the numbers don't lie. If you take that out over how many hours, it adds up. So we'll take a look here at the bifacial mounted on a tilting array, seasonal tilted, and see what that produces. So you know, we're pulling over 400 watts over rating. You know, that's pretty amazing. You know, it'll still be going up. Like I said, I expect about 11.4 kilowatts total coming out of it by about noon. So, um, yeah, I'm gonna measure here the amps on that one string here and get that checked. But yeah, vertical mounted isn't the way to go. It's a nice option, but don't make it a high priority. I'll be back later. So I got the amps probe here on the PV wire. It's noisy here, you know. We're pulling in some pretty good PV, so the fans are running. But I got 11.4 there, and we're reporting 10.8, so I know it's off. So it's either a communication problem with using the USB Type B port. I haven't switched these over to RS45 yet, but it kind of lines up with the other string there at 11.9. So I would assume that it's either SRNE reports it wrong, or it's a communication issue or something there, or it's with Solar Assistant. But anyway, we know that that is an outlier, and we know that it doesn't read correctly. So, you know, we're not going to look at that particular string and compare it to the vertical array. So I said, yeah, I better check the other wire here. This would be the string here with the 3200 watts, 400 watt panels mounted vertically. I got about 14 amps there, and solar system is showing 13.9. So just thought I'd show that, make sure that it shows it's accurate. So it is now 12:01, and as you can see here, the strings, I guess they're 2,960 watts. I did the math. We're getting about 3.25 kilowatts out of those, and only 3,160 watts out of the 3,200 watt string that is mounted vertically. So, yeah, the mono panels are outproducing the vertical panels that are mounted on the wall. And the bifacials, as I said, we're going to put about 11.4 kilowatts, and we're at 3750 to 3780. So, yeah, pretty impressive there, But yeah, I was a firm believer in the vertical there at first, and then I put up the bifacial array and see what that was doing. And as time went on, though, I noticed here that the mono panels here were outproducing the vertical mounted ones here, and I was like, nice, So, I'll show it here again later, but it'll probably be close to 2 o'clock, and I might actually hit full charge, so who knows, you know, we'll see. I'm going to continue this video. I'm actually planning on probably doing it again here tomorrow in the morning because there shouldn't be any snow on the panels, and I've been heating my house and shop 24/7 using heat pumps, so we shall see how it goes tomorrow if I don't check back in today. But that's the data. You can't deny it. It's the way it is. So it is now 1 p.m. and I was just down the house, and I'll be fully charged here by within an hour. So, but as you can see here, the 370 watt strings of 2,960 watts are outproducing the vertical 3,200 watt string by 120 watts, But yeah, it shows how bad the efficiency is. And on the other array, like I said, I thought I'd be about 11.4 kilowatts for the total, but 3,700, over 3,700 watts per string. So, like I say, mount them bifacials on a ground mount, tilted towards the sun, and if you got a little snow on the ground, boy, that'll really put it out. So, but I'm going to try and employ some dump loads. Maybe I can keep the charging going a little longer here. It's pretty hot in my house right now, so I ain't got anything else I can turn on there. So we'll see how it goes. But I'll probably be done here by 2 o'clock. Maybe I won't be back today, but I'll be back in the morning for sure. So it's just after 1:45. This will be the last check-in for the day. I'm at 97% in my house, and I'm pushing, probably 4,000 watts up here to the shop. That bank will be full too here. So as you can see here, I'm still pulling over 3,000 watts off those 2,960 watt arrays, and I'm not even getting 3,000 watts off the 3,200 watt array. So yeah, the vertical mounted, they just don't have the yield. So let's go take a look at those bifacial that are seasonally tilted, and still getting the gain there. I'm pulling over 3,500 watts there, so they're pretty good. So I'll scroll back down here. So yep, that's the way to go. I'm telling you, you just can't beat it. So you got a lot of people tell you, oh yeah, that vertical are the way to go. The problem is if you mount them vertical out in the open and it's summer, you're going to really get hurt on yield because you can't tilt them back for the summertime. So keep that in mind, regardless of what they tell you. So I'll be back tomorrow. We'll see you then. So it's the next day, and it's just after 8 a.m. and we got somewhat clear skies. It looks like it's going to cloud over today. So here we're showing the 4 strings here. Of course, the one here is the 3200 watts. That's on inverter 2, the MPPP2. As you can see, those are the vertical panels. That's putting out about 800 watts. The tiltable array, of course, there's no snow on it today, so we're getting up there about 600 watts. So is there a huge advantage at that low sun horizon? Not really. You're looking at basically a few hundred watts here, and as it goes on here, it'll actually be pretty even. We'll go look here at the bifacials down in the front yard and see what those are putting out already. And as you can see, those are already putting out about 800 watts per string. So basically, they're putting out the same as the vertical array. So is there any advantage to mounting them vertical like that? No, there isn't. Be back later. So it is now just after 8:35, and we're showing the 4 strings again here. The 370 watt panels here that are seasonal tilted, that are 2960 watts per string, are producing around 1250 watts, and the vertical string is producing just under 1500 watts. Okay, the bifacial array is producing about 1600 watts per string, so they're already producing more than the vertical string here. So yep, again, it shows there's no advantage there to having that string vertical compared to having a seasonal tilt bifacial. Well, it's a few days later. We got clouded over probably about half an hour after I took that last section, but we're going to start over again here. And it is now just before 8 o'clock. Sunrise was about 35 minutes ago. And as we can see here, the vertical panels are producing just under 750 watts. And the other strings are producing a high of 630 watts and a low of 500 watts. It's searching for a PowerPoint. So anyway, so you're maybe gaining 200 watt hours here. And I'll be back here in half an hour. We'll go see what the bifacials are producing. And the bifacials are already producing just as much, if not more, than the vertical mounted panels. So these are tilted at 62 degrees, in case I never mentioned that before. Those are 400 watt 8S strings, same panels as the vertical mounted panels are. So I don't see any gain having them mounted vertically, and of course won't be long, and the bifacials at a tilt will be producing more than the vertical mounted one. So be back later. So we're now about 35 minutes later. It's 8:35, and as you can see here, the 3200 watt string is putting out 1400 watts, and the mono 375 watt strings that are 2960 watts are putting out 1350 watts to 1270 watts. So you're looking at a difference of about 130, 140 watts, and as little as 50 watts. So we'll go look here at the bifacials. So we're at 1410 watts there. On the bifacials, they're just blowing the verticals away here. We're already at 1600 watts, and yeah, 1600 watts compared to 1400 watts. So you're looking at a 200 watt difference per string. So yep, I'll be back in about half an hour. So it's 9:05, another half hour later, and we're starting to get some clouds rolling in. But as you can see, the 2960 watt strings here are basically producing the same amount as the vertical panels, sometimes more. But yeah, there's some cloud lensing going on there. And probably I'm going to end the video here because I'm probably not going to end in any better weather. But basically, the idea was to show here in the early morning that really you don't get much power in the low sun horizon. There was some low clouds right at the sun horizon early this morning. And so you weren't getting anything there. I'll go show the bifacials here. And you can see those are, again, outproducing the, I'll here wait for it to refresh. But they'll outproduce the vertical mounted panels here. So we're getting a little more sun here now. But, you know, you might get 200 watts for the first hour. So, you know, that's 200 watt hours, you know, per string on those vertical panels. And they really should produce more because there are more watts for that string. But really, you're not gaining much. You know, still that inefficiency's there. I think the efficiency is 5% more for that first hour on that vertical string. That's it. So, you know, you're going to gain 200 watt hours. Well, you know, you're going to lose that in the next hour between 9 and 10 o'clock, or within the first 15 minutes after 10 o'clock, when the mono panels that are tilted at 62 degrees to the sun horizon over the vertical panels, you'll gain that in 15 minutes or less on one string. So, you know, you're not gonna, the vertical panels, they're a nice option. The advantage there is, of course, you know, as I showed at the beginning of the video, you don't end up with any snow on them. But they definitely have their drawbacks. So, you know, and the argument will be, of course, you know, well, you need to put them out in the open, you know, they're a bifacial panel, you get the gain. Well, what if you put mono panels up there? It's the same deal, you know, you're not going to get that gain, you know, they're going to still suffer efficiency. So, you know, really your best option is, if you're in snow country, still is seasonal tilt your panels. Like in my area, it's 62 degrees. I go for a winter angle. You know, you'll get that reflection off the snow, the albedo. You have cooler temps. You know, these panels will really produce, you know, in that kind of weather. So as long as the sun's shining. But anyway, if you like what you see here, hit the like and subscribe button. You know, hit that like button so other people can see it. You know, I see I'm up to 600 some subscribers. So I want to thank you all for watching. And until the next time, catch some rays, and we'll see you later.